Hey guys, it's Rich with another Tarot Talk Tuesday. In this video, I am doing the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. This is produced by Llewellyn in 2008, made by Heidi Darris, and text by Barbara Moore. And if you're wondering, I'm reading off of my notes that I took. So, one thing that I want to note about this is Llewellyn is stepping up their game. At least they were in 2008 whenever they produced this particular deck, because they give us a nice little magnetic flip top box. Very much appreciated. Very beautiful inside. Very beautiful box to begin with. So I like the presentation of this box to begin with. So a little bit about the book. Nice little ribbon to pull everything out. A little bit about the book is it is written by Barbara Moore, and it's the Dreamer's Journal. So you first have acknowledgments, you have dedications, you have notes from the creators about the deck, you have tarot basics, places for notes after each chapter, and then it talks about reading the cards. It talks about keeping a journal, it talks about spreads, it gives you 15 types of spreads, and it gives you some variations of some spreads, totaling 19 different spreads that you can do from this book. The majors are about a page and a half with exercise questions to delve deeper into your intuition, which I really love. And I'm just going to pick one out here from, let's say, the Emperor. And it says, use your intuition. And I'll show you guys. Black and white picture. Not really, I really don't care if I see a picture or not in a companion book. I mean, I have the deck, so I can always look at the deck, so no problem there. So you have, I'd say that's about a full page of text. So anyway, at the bottom it gives you this little thing that says, use your intuition. And for the Emperor it says, are those white feathers on the Emperor's hat? What do they signify? And then question number 2 is, he is looking off into the distance. What does he see? And number 3 is, his wand is flaming. Why? So these are nice little journaling type of questions that whenever you're going through this deck, you can actually journal about, you know, the answers to these questions that are posed to you. And if you're doing a reading and you have these questions in your mind connected to these cards, you can actually, while you're reading, if you think of these questions, you can say, oh, this Emperor's wand is flaming because of the 8 of Wands of, you know, that are coming towards him. The wands are coming and they set fire to his wand or something. You know, you can come up with little things like that that will help you tell the story that is, sorry, I have an itchy nose, that is revealed in the tarot spread. So, very interesting that it has questions with the majors, and I believe it also has them, let's see, minors is about a page with more questions. So yes, it does even continue to the minor arcana, like the 8 of Wands, which, oddly enough, I was just talking about. And the 8 of Wands actually has a woman in it. So, it says, what does the woman see? Question number 2. Is the ship in the harbor coming or going? How does that direction, one way or the other, play into the meaning of the card? Question 3. The raven sits on the top wand with a rather jaunty air. What does he symbolize here? So, nice little questions. I love those questions being added in there, especially if you're keeping a tarot journal, which I'm pretty bad at, but I really enjoy that if you are doing a tarot journal, that this is something that will definitely help you. And I noted here that it is 211 pages of material as far as from where it starts talking about the cards to the very end. About 111 or 211 pages, I'm sorry. But the outside of the box actually considers it 240. So I just wanted to point that out, that, you know, sometimes whenever it says that it's a 240-page book, it's actually 211. Why do I keep on saying 111? It's actually 211 pages. So a little truth in advertising there. I'm sorry, I just got to be a stickler on that for some reason. It's something that really jumped out to me, and that's because they don't count the. I don't really count the introduction, the artist notes, and all that as actual learning material in this book. Which, you know what, knowing about the artists and the backgrounds and all that stuff is kind of useful information. So I guess I could consider that pages in this book. So anyway, it also does give reversal meanings. So if you do read reversals, this is something that is much appreciated, especially for me whenever I get a deck of cards. I like to know if there are reversal meanings in the companion book. So this is for the Six of Swords. If reversed, the card can indicate letting someone else make your decisions or tell you what to do. It can also mean that you are moving in the wrong direction. So, a little tiny blurb, not as much as the upright meaning, but you know what? It's appreciated that it's there. So, I'm going to go ahead and take the cards out, and I will compare them next to the Rider-Waite-Smith from US Games. So, I'll go ahead and bring you down, and you guys can see that. So once again, you have made yourself down to the nether regions, and we are talking about the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. So, comparison on size. Again, this is by Llewellyn. Comparison on size. It is about the same size. It's a little bit shorter than the Rider-Waite-Smith by US Games. And I think it's maybe a hair longer. Yeah, it's about a hair longer on the width portion. So, you know, not a big difference. At first glance, I thought that this deck was fully reversible in its on its backing, but it's actually not. You have the black parts here and here, and other than that, like the inside of the border is fully reversible, but the outside is not. So that's something that I noticed after looking at them for a little bit. I'm like, hey, this isn't actually fully reversible. And the backs, I mean, they're very pretty. I just wish that the little, I don't know if you want to call that parchment look or whatever, but I wish that was fully reversible, just like this image appears to be. So, just a little thought. This does have a smooth finish with a little bit of gloss, but it's more of a matte finish. You know, it's a smooth matte finish, but it does have like a semi-gloss to it, a very, very light gloss on it. So not a lot of gloss on these cards. The thickness of the cardstock, let's compare it to the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's about the same thickness, maybe a tad bit thinner. The cardstock actually feels like it's a little bit thinner, though. It's not as... I'd say it's about the same as like the Steampunk Tarot and the other Llewellyn style cards. So if you have other Llewellyn style cards, it seems to be about the same thickness, same cardstock quality. And I really wish they would have like thicker, like heavier stock cards that feel a little bit more substantial. That's just my little 2 cents. But if this deck is going to get used and abused, I have no problem buying it again and again. You know, that's just me. That's the way I feel about it. I will go ahead and run a deck of cards into the ground and not blink twice, because if I did that, that means I used them and used them well. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about Llewellyn's cardstock, but I do love some of the decks that they produce. So, anyway, enough of the cardstock quality. It does have beautiful imagery. I'm going to go ahead and start flipping through this deck. One thing that I will say is it's not very ethnically diverse, at least at a glance. I did not see a lot of different ethnicities. I didn't really see different cultural aspects. So if that is a big hang-up for you, that's something to note. And also, In this deck, there's not a lot of men. This is one of the few men. And one thing that I noticed is they're not really... The men that are depicted in this deck aren't really in the traditional masculine-looking sense. They're more smooth, more effeminate. So I did want to note that there's not very many men in this deck. So if you prefer a more woman-centric deck, this is probably going to be a good deck for you. I like a good balance, and whenever you do have men in the deck, you know, I would like it to be them shirtless and young and kind of ripped. Just saying. That's my preference. But this deck is still beautiful. I have no complaints about the artwork. I think the artwork in and of itself is very appropriately done. It follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system fairly well. Wow, that is an impactful devil. Ooh, even her hair is done up in like horns or whatnot. Oh boy, I like that. So anyway, moving on. I can look at these later, so yeah. Beautiful imagery. I think they did this very well. The only holdback that I have is that I wish there were an equal balance of men and women in this deck. There might actually be a reason for that, and it might actually be in the book. However, I have not fully read the book yet because I took these out. I looked at the cards, made sure that they were in order, did a glance at the book to be able to give you guys a rundown of what's in the book at first glance, and then put these away until I did the review. So you're pretty much getting a first impressions type of review from me on this deck as well as other decks. So yeah, that's how that happens. I like in this one, I saw this earlier as I was looking through the deck before doing this when I was writing my notes. She has a teddy bear. I think that's so cute, and I really want to know what's in that box at her bed. So yeah, little things like that that are put in there. Kind of loving it. I think even some of the knights are female. And like I said, the men that are in here, a lot of them look more effeminate, more feminine in nature. The smooth skin, very little facial hair, not shirtless, which, you know, is kind of a turn off for me. But, you know, it is what it is. Not saying that they're not beautiful men whenever they are shown. Just saying that you have some nice looking guys in here, and it'd be nicer if they had shirts off. That's all. I don't think I saw any nudity in this deck. I haven't really been looking for nudity in this deck, but there might be. Sometimes you get that in a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. So I try to call out the nudity a little bit here and there if I see it, if it's something overly obvious. And I gotta speed up my flipping technique here. See, now there's a shirtless guy. Okay, I can dig that. I gotta flip a little quicker here because my battery's going to run out shortly. Hopefully I can get all of these in before it fully runs out. I like this one. Yeah, if I can get it to stay still. Where she is with her daughter or a younger sister or something like that. You know, the reminiscence of childhood. very appropriately done. Like that knight there is a female. So you get a lot of feminine empowerment from this deck. And again, I don't know if that's purposeful. I'm not sure. I didn't see it whenever I was looking through the through the book. But I didn't see it, so I'm not going to say that that is a purpose behind this deck. But I wonder if it was like an underlying purpose in the back of their mind whenever they were putting this deck together, that they wanted more prominent females in a deck. Which, again, nothing wrong with that. I just like a good balance. Okay. And that has been the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. Again, by Heidi Darris. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And text by Barbara Moore. Overall, not a bad deck. Really beautiful artwork. Kind of loving it. This may be, in the future, a primary reading deck. Shuffles fairly well. A little bit on the slippery side. But you know what? That's okay. It's stuff I can get used to. But shuffles fairly well. Sideways shuffles fairly well. Nicely done. The only complaints that I have overall, I wish there were more shirtless men in here. Or more men, period. Just to have that balance. And the cardstock quality, I wish was just a little bit more on the thicker side. If I can shuffle correctly. I wish the cardstock was a little bit more on the thicker side. But I do applaud Llewellyn for doing a very nice flip-top box. Something that is always appreciated is a nice package. So, well done on that. My tarot deck probably will not live in this box for all eternity, of course, because I do want to use it. But for now, until I get more into this deck in particular, and I start working with this deck more and more, until then, it will probably live in the box, or until I get a pouch made for it. So, yeah. Until that happens, it'll probably live in the box. So, yeah, nicely done on the box. Kind of loving it. Good work. So, that's all I have to say about the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. Join me next Tarot Talk Tuesday for the Halloween Tarot. And, of course, on Samhain or Halloween. So, works out perfectly. Love to see you guys here next week. But until then, go ahead and check out some of my other videos that I have. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe. And until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.